Code Named Bananas, written by David Walliams.
Part 1. Life, love, laughter. The world had been plunged into a war of unimaginable horror, so these three things were more important than ever. They're important to this story too. Our adventure begins on a cold, crisp afternoon in London in December 1940. In London Zoo, to be precise, there a little boy had just been made a discovery that made him laugh for the first time in a long time. Ha ha ha! That little boy was an 11-year-old orphan named Eric. He was short for his age and had sticky out ears, which made him feel like he stuck out.
The boy wore glasses, but one of the lenses was cracked, and he didn't have any money to repair them. As soon as the bell rang for the end of school, Eric would run out of the gates as fast as his little legs would take him. He hated school, where he was picked on mercilessly for his sticky out ears and given the nickname Wingnut.
Eric had been given strict orders by his grandmother to hurry straight home, but he couldn't resist taking a detour. From school, he dashed through the streets, dodging the mountains of rubble. There were adventures to be had in the wreckage of downed lazy planes, burnt-out double-decker buses, or bombed buildings. But the boy didn't dilly-dally. Oh no! He was in a rush to get to his favorite place on earth, London Zoo.
Apart from all the animals, the best thing about a zoo was that Eric could get in for free. That was because his uncle worked there as a zookeeper. Uncle Sid was really his mom's uncle, but Eric always called the older man Uncle Sid too. Sometimes Eric would even help Sid with his work. This he loved more than anything. His dream was to be a zookeeper himself one day. To Eric, animals seemed so much nicer than humans. None of them made fun of his sticky out ears for a start. Some of them had sticky out ears too. No matter, they were all beautiful in their own way. Eric loved feeding the animals, washing them, and he didn't even mind mucking out their cages. Some elephant droppings weighed a ton, and shoveling them was a two-man's job.
Sid would smuggle Eric in through the back entrance to the zoo. That way, he would not have to pay the entrance fee of 6 pence, a small fortune for a small boy. Eric didn't have a penny to his name, let alone 6. So, at 4 o'clock on the dot each day, Eric would arrive at the staff gate in what resembled a military operation. He would remain out of sight and knock 3 times. Knock, knock, knock. Then he would wait in silence until he heard a tweet, tweet. It was his great-uncle imitating the call of an owl. That sound meant the coast was clear. The next thing the boy would hear was the old man approaching. Sid had 10 legs. His real ones had been blown off in the First World War. Whenever he walked, there was the sound of clinking, clacking, and clunking. Clink, clunk, clock. Password! The man would hiss, hiding on the other side of the gate. Wibble, wobble, the boy would reply. Ha ha, chuckled Sid, as he opened the gate. In you come! The password was different every day. The boy would invent a new one each time to make his great uncle laugh.
Some of their favorites were monkey nuts, king pong, ants in your pants, nicky nacky noo, hippopotamus mustache, wee willy winky, jelly bottom, finky foofer, under fighter, Sir Humphrey handbag. Thanks, Uncle Sid. How was school today? Asked the older man. There was a strong family resemblance. Sid was short and had sticky out ears too. However, he also had a big, bushy eyebrows and even bushier beard. So that was where the family resemblance ended. Because of his thin legs, the old man was unsteady on his feet, which also made of tin. Sid looked like he was going to topple over at any moment. I hated half the boy.
I don't know why I bother asking.
The kids pick on me about my ears.
Your ears look perfectly normal to me, said the old man as he waggled his own sticky out ears with his hands to make the boy laugh. Ha ha! Don't let the bullies get you down. It's what's in here that counts, said Sid, clenching his heart. You are a smashing boy. Don't ever forget that.
I will try not to.
Don't you have any friends at school?
Not really,
replied the boy sorrowfully. Well, I know all the animals here are your friends. They love you as much as you love them. The boy hugged the old man, nestling his head in Sid's big, round tummy. Whoa! Exclaimed Sid, flapping his arms around as if he were a penguin trying to take off.
Sorry, I always forget about those tin legs. Don't worry, you're able to sell me off for scrap metal when I'm going home, he joked. The boy smiled. You're funny. There may be a war on, but you have to keep smiling and laughing, or what else are we fighting for? I have never thought of it like that, pondered the boy. But you're right, Uncle Sid. Do you need a hand with anything today? Oh, you are a good boy. But I've done all the marking up. You go and enjoy yourself. Thanks, I always do. I know the animals would be pleased to see you after last night. The boy immediately knew what he meant. Last night had been the worst bombing raid by the Nazi Air Force, a Luftwaffe, in London since the war had begun. As soon as the air raid warning went off, I woke Granny up. She doesn't hear too good. Yes, I know, she's deaf as a post. And even though I was still in my pajamas and Granny was in her nightdress, we ran to the Blackfriars Tube. We slept the night down in the station with hundreds of others right there on the platform.
How was it? Asked the old man.
Noisy about, but and smelly.
Not the best nice lip I've ever had. No, but at least you and Granny were safe.
Where did you hide out?
Me? The air raid warden ordered me to run for shelter, but I came straight here to the zoo. I ought to be here to take care of the animals, try to keep them calm. The boy winced as he thought of them all suffering. How were they? I did my best, but the bombs just kept on coming. Boom! 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 I'm afraid to say your friend took it hardest. She can't bear the noise of the bombs. Frightened out of her wits, she was. The boy gulped with fear. I'd better go and see her right away. You do that. I know you always cheer her up like no one else can. The old man ruffled the boy's hair. Eric ran off in search of his friend. To Eric, London Zoo was a wonderful land. He had never been outside London in his life, but here in just a few acres of the city were the most magical creatures from all the world. Elephants, tigers, penguins, giraffes, zebras, bears, lions, rattles, crocodiles. But there was one animal in particular that Eric loved more than any other.
The gorilla. Her name was Gertrude. Gertrude the gorilla. Chapter 2. Motto Classified. The funny thing about Gertrude was that she was so human and so not human all at once. Thick black hair covered her entire body like a giant fur coat. Her head was enormous, with a bulging forehead as long as her face. Two unusually long ears stuck out on the sides of the gorilla's head, just above her eyes. Gorillas normally have ears, but not Gertrude. Perhaps that is why the boy felt a special connection to her, or perhaps it was her warm ginger eyes that flashed with kindness. The gorilla's white nose was wrinkled like an old lady's. This was fitting, as Gertrude was an old lady. She was 50 and positively Asian for a gorilla, but she thought that she was some sweet old dear would be gone the moment she opened her mouth. Fangs!
Gertrude had the most magnificent set of fangs, 2 up and 2 down. Also not sweet old dearie were her arms. They were nearly as broad as her legs, and her legs were already broader than broad. What's more, her huge tummy was round like a barrel. The things Eric loved most about his best friend were her hands and feet. They were much like this, except they were absolutely humongous.
Gertrude might have been the biggest of all the apes in London Zoo, but she was also the gentlest. Sometimes a sparrow would fly into her cage and land on her head. You might think that a gorilla, with its incredible strength, will crush an uninvited visitor in its hands, but not Gertrude. No, she would treat the little bird like a baby. The gorilla will hold it delicately in her hand and stroke it. Sometimes she will even mimic the bird's song, tweet, tweet. Then she will give the little creature a kiss on the beak. Mwah. Now this would delight the crowds who would gather around Gertrude's cage. The gorilla was London Zoo's star attraction. The worst thing about being an orphan was missing being hugged. Eric has lost his mom and dad during the war. They were both good at hugs. Sometimes they will even have a big family cuddle with Eric in the middle.
They call it a muddle. Cuddle and middle. The boy loved those muddles most of all. Feeling the love and warmth of both his parents made him feel safe. Now the war had torn them away from him forever. Eric knew he would never have that feeling again. So, when he gazed through the bars of Gertrude's cage, he often wished he could magic his way inside. Then the gorilla could just wrap his big, strong arms round him and hold him right tight. Gertrude was as big as both his parents put together. Eric was sure she could give him a jolly good muddle.
Chapter 3. Eric had dashed past